What's good, guys? CJ here, and welcome back to another DNA video. Today we got to talk about Phantasio, also known as Fabrizio, aka Fabio, and this dude is an absolute unit. He's going to be one of your favorite characters once you begin playing him, and I gotta tell you, he's extremely fun to play, but he also deals a truckload of damage. With that said, in today's video, we got the ultimate guide where we're going to talk about this character, its demon wedges, weapons you can use on him, geinomons, partners, how he overall works, his skills, and all that good stuff. So with that said, let's hop right in. So here we have my Phantasio, and you guys can go ahead and see his stats. We have almost 1300 Umbro attack, and while we can make this a lot higher, I'm going to tell you exactly why it is that I don't have it much higher. Now, its max sanity, it's also quite high at 328, and it's only getting higher because max sanity is a very important attribute of Phantasio's entire kit. When it comes to his skill damage, we're sitting at a comfortable 220, skill range a base 100, skill duration 112, skill efficiency 138, and 66% morale. So yes, as you can see, he's very solid and big into morale. After a lot of testing, not only by myself, but a lot of people in my Discord, they pretty much told me I had to try him with morale over just flat out attack or skill damage. And I gotta be honest, after doing some testing, this dude is an absolute unit, and you do want to build him into morale. With that said though, let's go ahead and look into his kit, because it can get a little bit complex. So I'm not gonna nerd it up and start, breaking everything down bit by bit. I'm kind of gonna explain it in a very simple way. So first off, we have his basic skill, Recitativo, which is pretty much going to be a debuff, I guess, that you can apply to the enemy that pretty much gives stacks on them. I'm gonna be honest, you're really never gonna use this like this. Really, almost never. After this, when you transform, it's gonna turn into Aria. Dashes forward, dealing Umbra damage to enemies along the path, and gains Presso. Presso increases skill range and grants immunity to hit stun. So pretty nice to have some skill range and immunity to hit stun. This is where the kit is gonna get interesting. Currents up. You're pretty much going to transform into Igris. Yes, you know who that is. When you're in Igris form, your whole playstyle is absolutely going to change. As you can see right here in the video, you're going to be doing a lot of damage. You're going to be out here dealing, all damage with your claw combos. Yes, it's actually a combo type of gameplay where the more hits, the more damage. We'll break that down into a little bit. And as you can see, there's a lot that goes into it. You're also going to be able to get Duo, grants a certain amount of immersion. This effect can only be triggered once every 0.1 seconds. I'll break that down in a second. And Fermata increases Phantasio's damage based on target's Adagio stats. Now, the Adagio stats is what you normally get from this skill right here, but there's another way to get it, and we'll talk about that in a second. Then removes all Adagio stats. When there are 10 Adagio stats on the target, restores Phantasio's sanity and gains a certain amount of immersion. This effect can only be triggered once every attack. Now, these Adagio stats are very important. They're going to be giving you all your damage. Now, normally you would have to use this Recitativo to put the stacks on the enemy. But given that you have this right here, this passive Concerto, when the 3 hit of Furious Claws and Mournful Howl deal damage, there is a chance to inflict Adagio stacks on the target. So basically, you're just going to go ham, right? Absolutely ham. And that's how you're going to inflict the Adagio stats. And the Adagio stacks, you'll be able to see them as a little counter right below the health bar. So keep that in mind. The more stacks that you have on your enemy, the more damage you're going to be able to deal. Moving back into his transformation, right? There's more to it because this thing might be a little bit complex. But I'm telling you, when you play him, you'll understand him a lot more. You'll see that if we look back at this little video, there's a whole bunch of hits. He's actually going off, dealing a bunch of damage, a bunch of swipes. This is very important for you guys to understand. Every hit deals more damage progressively, right? So maybe the first and second hit don't necessarily deal more damage progressively, but first hit to second hit to third hit, you guys can see the massive damage multiplier on that third hit. The fourth hit deals even more damage, and plunge attack is probably the hardest hitting hit, very close to the fourth hit. What I'm trying to tell you is you're going to want to make sure you're comboing, which is very easy with him because he's just extremely fast when he hits. So you're just going to keep up that damage, and on that fourth hit, you can either plunge attack or just hit that fourth hit for insane amounts of damage. You can also see that his Mournful Howl, which is the beam attack, also deals some pretty good damage. You can see the beam length right here, and you guys can see the immersion granted by Duo right over here, which is a 0.6 max sanity. The damage boost per stack of Adagio, which is a pretty damn big damage boost. The more stacks, the better. That's why you want to build up them stacks. The Fermata sanity recovery, which is also very good, which is part of the kit. And immersion granted by Fermata is 6.0% of the max sanity. So basically, to summarize this part of the kit, you just want to go ham and slash and gash and cut another hole in your opponent's ass. Simple as that. Very, very easy to understand. Moving on over to the passive, this is pretty much the same thing. When in bestial state, increases attack based on Phantasio's max sanity. That's why we were saying that the max sanity is so important on Phantasio. Phantasio gains immersion by using skills. When the immersion cap equals Phantasio's max sanity, using recitativo or aria against a certain amount of immersion when in bestial state, continuously gain immersion per second. When immersion reaches its maximum in bestial fury state, Phantasio enters bestial fury devotion state, which is like an upgraded state of the bestial fury. While under Bestial Fury Devotion, drains immersion instead of sanity to maintain the state and increases speed and boost attack based on the user's max sanity. That's why you want to make sure its sanity is so high. While active, Bestial Fury Devotion prevents immersion gain from sustaining beast form. That's the entirety of the kit, right? You really pretty much want to transform, slash and gash, build up that Adagio, and deal as much damage as possible. Keep an eye out on your sanity, and make sure everything is rotating accordingly. Some of the best and most important things you want to consider is getting this concerto as fast as possible, and then obviously we got everything else, which is the attack boost, which is very nice, and then obviously the skill efficiency, because as you guys saw, he is very reliant on his sanity. And that's literally everything. I haven't gotten this right here because, well, I'm not going to be using him as a support unit. And this right here is only available when he's deployed as a combat partner. Now, moving on over from that, we're going to talk about the build. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, because I feel that the build is where things can change with this dude right here. And this is the build that we're using today. I gotta be honest, this build is so good. It allows him to deal insane amounts of damage while also having really good sustain. And the name of the game with Phantasio is that you deal more damage while, you know, actively boosting his sustain, which is really, really nice. So, for my build, we're going to start off with pretty much the basics, right? We have prime morale in here because, like I said, we're working hard on building up that morale. The higher, the better. So this is going to be really, really damn good. Then we have illusionary sacrifice. This is a beast of a demon wedge for Phantasio. It's going to give you 30% skill damage, and the effect is when an Umbro character consumes sanity, they gain 1 stack that increases weapon crit chance by 5.4% for 15 seconds, up to 15 stacks, which is really damn good for this character, right? This is just a nice wedge that works perfectly with this unit. Then we have Wings Inspo. Hey, do I need to say more, guys? It's going to give you a truckload of sanity, and it's going to give you a very nice skill efficiency on top of that. So the fastest you can get this wedge right here, and the fastest you can make it gold, and the faster you can up tier this wedge all the way to plus 10, the better for Phantasio. Then we have Nihility Midnight Sun. This is going to be really nice. Umbro attack, skill damage, and skill duration, which is just overall going to be very nice. And then the obvious, right? We have 4 Blaze Morale. This is just simple, is going to give you attack percentage and morale, and stacking that morale is going to be really damn good. And in the middle, we have Vigilance. When taking damage, there's a 50% chance to reduce the damage taken by 20%. Honestly, in here, just put what you want. This is not really that important. Now, the weapons. We have Wainwraith. It's just a really nice weapon to instantly give him a chunk of skill damage. As you can see, I have it max smelted for a nice chunky 48% skill damage, which is going to be very, very good for this dude. And when it comes to the demon wedges, you know this doesn't matter. I pretty much just use this to move fast across the map because that's pretty much the best, you know, traveling tool in the game. And then for range weapons, we have Express Duo. I do not have this max smelted, but it's the same as Wainwraith in range weapon form. It's here to just give him skill damage boosting. Very damn simple. I do want to point out that some people have told me that they have been trying or looking into this weapon right here. Blast Artistry, I haven't tested it myself, is going to be giving Homeboy 50% character attack. And then what's interesting down here is when an Umbro character casts their ultimate, it grants 20% skill efficiency for 15 seconds. So this might be something worth looking into in the future. For now, I'm chilling with my Escres duo. Now, when we talk about geinomons, the first one that I'm going to talk about is going to be Nebuthus. Deals Umbro damage equals to a certain percent of the main character's attack to enemies within range and reduces their defense by 6% for 10 seconds. And if you put the right traits on this, you will bring that down to about 15 seconds, giving you pretty much almost infinite uptime on this. You'll only have this down for about 5 seconds, which is incredibly good to have an enemy have their defense reduced by 6%, which is really nice. Also, the passive skill increases Umbro attack for the main character and the combat partners by a certain percent, and the stats provided by Demon Wedges prefixes with Phoenix by a certain percent. This is a very good option to rock with your Phantasio. Now, another very good option that you can throw in here is going to be, hold on, let me scroll down all the way, blah, 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 right here. There we go. It's going to be Equinox. Deals Umbro damage equivalent to a certain percent of the main character's attack to enemies within range with an additional random attribute-based effect for 10 seconds. And once again, you can bring this down with the right traits and make it pretty much almost always available with only about a 5-second downtime. Now, the passive skill is the main character and combat partners gain Umbro attack by a certain percent and max HP, which is also going to synergize very nice with Phantasio. So those are the ones that I advise. Obviously, the very best no one ever was is going to be Boxy, bro, the GOAT. But those are the ones that I do advise. Moving on over to the partners that I do advise you rock with Phantasio. The first one that I want to throw in here is going to be Tabitha. I'm not going to go into her build or Demon Wedges. Just know that I have a video on this character, breaking her Demon Wedges down, her weapon, everything. And overall, she's a very solid unit. We already know she's going to be boosting the skill damage of Phantasio, which is going to make him deal more damage. The next character is going to be Truffle, which is going to give Phantasio more overall damage, even though she doesn't have the best AI, and sometimes it gets a little iffy. Once that gets solved, she's still going to be the best partner for a lot of units. Incredibly solid, boosting damage and overall allowing characters to deal more damage. Another unit that you can probably throw in here is going to be, where's she at? Right here, Veronica, which is also a solid character that is going to boost that Umbro attack when she's the combat partner while you're playing with Phantasio. But honestly, that's really everything there is to know about this character. I do hope I broke it down as simple as possible. If I did and you enjoyed this build, by all means, drop a like, subscribe, turn on bell notifications, drop a comment as it greatly helps out the algorithm, and join our Discord. We have a great community that always chats it up, hangs out, and helps each other, farms Geinomon, grind, and all that good stuff. For now, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.